But I want to shift the discussion a bit, right? So he spoke about this thing about the nature. When he created man, right? He created him a particular way, in his image and in his likeness. He created male and female. And I think you mentioned it in your discussion coming up. When he created man, he created the male man first. Right? According to Genesis chapter 2, I think it's verse 15 or 16, somewhere around there. He said he created, or verse 7 I think it was. He created man. Right? He said to the man, cultivate and keep the garden. Right? Take care of all these wonderful things I've made. I need to take care of them. I'm entrusting you with this responsibility to take care of them. Right? And subsequently, he created the woman. So all this was done prior to the woman coming into the picture based on the account in Genesis. So what I would like us to discuss a little bit here is about the responsibility that a man really holds as a male. Right? Because man, sometimes it could be interchanged with the human race and that kind of thing. But when we say man here, in this discussion, it speaks about the male. Right? The biological male. So in terms of, Ajay, well, let me start with you, right? Let me change up a little bit, right?
I was ready to answer.
Yeah?
Go ahead.
Right.
Go ahead.
So when we talk about the responsibility of man, what were your thoughts about that?
I think the first thing it goes to, in my view, is the naming of the animals.
Okay.
For me, I saw it significant that God gave him the ability to speak into these animals. In terms of give it an identity. Okay. This is what you see, you speak it into being. And I think one of the responsibilities we have as men is to speak into the lives of persons around us. So, for example, you have a child from young, you're going to be great, you're going to make life. So you always push positivity heavily into persons. I think that's one of the key responsibilities we have as men. I think legacy is also critical. Because as you go on, and I think you mentioned it previously as well, you would realize that genealogy in the Bible is something critical. So you always say, this person begot this person and begot this person. And as was mentioned previously, it's usually the male names you would see along the line. So I think we also need to see the legacy as being critical. And as we go along, I would share an insight I got on legacy and inheritance.
Okay. Interesting.
I think what you were saying in the initial beginning of your conversation is that we are trying to explain, as I started out, I was only giving kind of like a precursor, in terms of, although we are in the image, we are both man and woman is in the image of God.
Right.
Yes, still in 1 Corinthians 11, it says, man is created, in terms of head coverings and so. In fact, let me read it to you so that our viewers will know what we are talking about. It says in verses 9 of 1 Corinthians 11, neither was the man created for the woman, but the woman, let me go back up. Verses 7 of 1 Corinthians 11, it says, for a man indeed ought not to cover his head, for as much as he is the image and the glory of God, right? And the woman is the glory of man.
Right.
So if we are going to ask, if we are going to say to ourselves, if we're going to ask ourselves, then if man is in the image of God, then what is God like? Because there seems to be like, yes, there's a oneness where there's mankind of both man and woman, but yes, there's a distinction that God has made clear concerning man in the image of God himself and woman. So then first thing, if he's in the image of God, then we have to find out then what is God like? If man is like him, what is God like? And I think there are certain rules, there are certain things that you will see, and this was coming to what my brother was saying too, that you will see that in terms of our roles and how we carry out those roles and our functions.
Okay.
Right? Because for instance, we know God is love. But both man and women are supposed to love.
Right.
Right? But when it comes to marriage, because marriage is a reflection, I believe, of what God intended, for the relationship that he intended to have between man and himself.
Okay.
Right? Marriage reflects that. So when you look at those things, then you can identify and see what is the specific image of God that God desires out of man in those functions or roles that he has given to us.
Rather interesting.
Yeah, sure. Then I wanted to jump in here.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Because the next area I was going to was the structure of the family. Because usually we would see God on top, followed by the husband, the wife, and the family. And I think even when you go to responsibility, it will come right back to the structure. So, yes, the man is the head of the home, but he's not the boss of the home. Yes, he's the leader, and there's a distinct difference between a leader and a boss. So even it comes right back to the principle in Genesis and in the garden. That's why God gave man that responsibility before. Before he created the woman, he had dominion over the land and over naming and certain decisions. Before. So that was in preparation for what was to come. So I think sometimes as men, we had to begin to prepare for what is to come.
Right.
Even in the way we treat ourselves, in the way we treat our bodies, in the way we make some of those decisions.
But man was given, I say all of those things to come to the point where we can try to identify some, ground for where we can see this image of God,
Right.
Specifically to man, right? Because first thing we know, yes, God is full authority, right? God has absolutely authority.
Okay, yeah.
Right? So that's why you will see in specific things man was given that woman was not given. Right? Because as man was given the information concerning the things of the earth, concerning the earth, not only the earth itself, concerning the animals and so on, but in terms of what God wanted to do to procreate the earth and to create on the earth. And so woman was given to facilitate the vision that the man was given, that God gave him, because he was the first person that God gave a vision to. Right. So if he was given that vision and woman's supposed to facilitate that vision, you understand? Then that, in it all, then it's supposed to bring us to a place where we're able to see this is where God is, this is what God designed, this is what God desires, this is what God wants to see. But the thing is, I believe that the world has so disfranchised us in our thinking and our understanding concerning these things that sometimes it seems that we don't, it seems like to say, well, there's a distinction, although we're in the image of God, it seems like for some people that is a contradiction. And it's something that you shall fight against. Where it is not so.
It's not so.
Right? Because it is to fulfill one purpose. Right? But yet still we must understand. For instance, some person was asking me, a member of my church, they were saying to myself, but somebody told them, their pastor told them, but your husband is not well, so you are now the head of the home. Right? And though I understand what she's saying in a sense that, okay, we are all chosen as kings and priests, as men and women, because when it was given to us that we are kings and priests, it was not just for man, right? So it's like this. I can be acting in a position, right? And I'm able to function as all of the in all the roles or the aspects of that position, but it does not mean that I was actually ordained or set at that position. You understand? So this is what we have problems with. We believe that because women can do things that men do, that it gives them the position. That is not so.
Right.
You understand? So it doesn't. So because you can operate in a role, it doesn't mean that it changes the role.
Change the role, right?
You understand?
Okay, understood. But it's very, very interesting discourse. Very, very interesting. But what I'm gathering from what you're saying, right? I kind of categorize into 3 categories, right? With the responsibility of a man. It was very clear that you have a responsibility to God. I think that was very clear out of what you all have said, because at the end of the day, I think they were saying there's a difference between, it was something with the boss and, I think Ajay you said
leader, yeah, there's a difference
the
between
leadership
a boss
and the boss.
leader.
Right? So a man is a leader, but God is the ultimate boss.
Agreed.
Right? So you have, as a man, a responsibility to God. You also have a responsibility to your family. Because, I mean, we spoke about it, as you mentioned, the thing with Adam and Eve. When God came, I think you mentioned it when we were having a conversation about the nature. When God came, he didn't say, where are everybody in the garden? You all come and let me have a conversation. He said, Adam, right? Adam never gave anybody a fruit. He never picked any fruit, right? But he still had to answer when God came. Right? So there's a clear responsibility to your family as well.
And sin didn't
come,
and we rightly know also, sin didn't come through the man, through the woman. Sorry, it came through man. Yeah, so the Bible says Adam was not deceived.
Right.
It was the woman that was deceived.
Right.
You understand? So Satan knew that. You understand? Right. So the only way sometimes he can get to man is if he can confuse his rules.
Right. Confuse the rules. And it's very important. And I don't think it's not necessarily an incrimination against to make women look like they are bad or insignificant.
No.
But it is very important that we understand where we fit into the whole scheme of things for things to work in a particular way. Right? And the third area I'm thinking was the general responsibility of man to take care of business. Right? God gave him a special responsibility. Right? And it is very, very important. Even in today's world, you know, as you mentioned before, everything seems to be so convoluted. You know, you cannot speak about anything without saying, oh, everybody equal. You know, the only difference is that one is physical difference, but it is very clear based on the biblical perspective that there are clear differences in the mandate of the male man and the female man. Yeah?
And I don't even want to go as far as, because that is a long discussion too, in terms of the seed of man.
Yeah.
Right?
We may have to get an entire session on that one, yeah.
You know, because people don't understand the nature of the seed of men is what brings procreation in the earth. I know the world have sold us and told us that, you know, I've heard people mention it, even my pastor, you know, and you know, Mother's Day, we like to, I'm not bashing women because I love them, I love my mom, we are close and everything and so on, but we say life is given by the woman, you know, and we say without woman there's no life. That is not true. Right. You know, a woman goes through a period every month, and she passes blood. That seed that she has just passes blood, and it just comes out there, useless cycle, no purpose. And nothing is created out of all of that cyclicality. Nothing is created until a male seed touches it.
Right.
Right? Is then life came. And Satan knows that. That's why that's why a lot of what we're saying today in terms of all the confusion of gender and dispute one, because Satan wants his own race, because he knows, you know, that in this particular seed, that's why he tried to kill Moses. That's why he tried to kill Joseph. That's why he tried to keep the children outside and kill them. And you know, because you see, the male seed is necessary for procreation on this earth. And that's what Satan don't want. That's why they have this transgender and this one gender. Because you don't want any gender. Because the gender that God created we can only have life through the male seed. And that is a fact. That is biblical.
Yeah. Interesting.